Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one.
Honourable members, dignitaries, if everybody could just take their seats, and I think we'll get started. Mr. Clark, do we have quorum? Welcome everybody.
We are a peaceful people.
Assembly of Suriname, the Honourable Devan Sharman, and Mr. Clark Sherlock Isaacs, and also Mr. Martin Chungong, Secretary General of the Interparliamentary Union. Good morning and welcome, and for our friends from Suriname, goedemorgen en welkom. I'd like to just start with if I can be indulged, I know we're behind schedule, I'll get to the housekeeping in a second, but I'd just like to say how happy the CPA is to be in Guyana. I understand, and Honourable Deputy Speaker, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I believe Guyana means land of many waters. I think it also is the land of duck curry and very ferocious ping-pong matches from what we've seen. But it's also a land of great warmth, friendliness, good humour and generosity, and that's been very evident in the welcome that we've received from the Guyanese people. So many, many thanks again, and also enormous thanks to the staff of the National Assembly of Guyana for their assistance and professionalism. There are too many people to name, but everybody knows who they are. Just very, very briefly, I'll introduce the CPA as well. We are a membership organisation of 180 parliaments from across the Commonwealth. So that includes national parliaments that serve over 1 billion people to subnationals that serve 2,000 people. So a very, very broad range of parliaments who are united by a community of interest, respect for the rule of law and individual rights and freedoms, and also the enduring power of parliamentary democracy. If anybody wants to hear more about the CPA, feel free to approach myself, Mr. Clive Barker or Mr. Avni Kondia. I should also introduce myself. I'm James Pennell, the Deputy Head of Programmes who oversees all our multilateral engagements. So this seminar is intended to provide the opportunity to build technical understanding and professional knowledge of the institution of parliaments. It is an apolitical program that we run. We obviously want robust discussions. I know that Honourable Figueira, when we watched your PAC sitting yesterday, you talked about robust discussions. I'm sure we'll have robust discussions here as well. We do maintain a respect policy at the CPA, which is about maintaining environments of mutual respect, courtesy and dignity at all events and programs. As I say, this is a country of great warmth and hospitality. I'm sure that'll be evident in this program as well. Just in terms of the format of the sessions at this program, all sessions will feature presentations from high-level speakers from Guyana, the wider Commonwealth, and the international community beyond the Commonwealth, joining both in person and virtually. Enormous thanks to all those who will be joining virtually, but also special thanks to everyone who's joined us in person as well. Also, a number of sessions will include exercises. You don't need to sit here and listen to us without any kind of engagement. There will be Q&A sessions and also a number of exercises. When we get to Q&A sessions, we would ask that you just signal when you want to ask a question. Please do also ensure that the questions are questions and the comments are as brief as you can make them. We know that's not always possible, but as far as you can, please make sure the questions are indeed questions. We do have a particularly long session today on the committee system. It is a 2-hour session, but we will have quite a substantial exercise as part of that, which should break up the day quite nicely. There is a lot of substantive content, so we will try and catch up time-wise. And I'd also like to just note attendees and speakers that the session is being recorded. I believe that this opening ceremony is being live streamed, so welcome to everybody joining on the live stream as well. In terms of communications, please do feel free to use your social media channels to promote this event. If you're using Twitter at all, please do tag CPA_Secretariat so that we can retweet and promote your communications. And finally, I'll just say that within the program, we will be breaking for lunch today at 1, and we'll also have a refreshment break at 10:45. So we'll have the opportunity to speak more on a one-to-one level there. And now, without further ado, I'll pass over to the very capable hands of Miss Charles, who will be emceeing the opening ceremony. So, Miss Charles.
Thank you, James. Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, Prime Minister of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Honorable Mansour Nadir, Speaker of the National Assembly of the Parliament of Guyana, Honorable Bridget Anisette George, Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Honorable Dr. Dewan Sharman, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Suriname, Honorable Ministers of Government, Members of Parliament, Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Clerks of Parliament, Secretary General of the Interparliamentary Union, Director General of Parliamericas, staff of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, staff of the Parliament of Guyana, media all. A pleasant morning to you and welcome to the opening ceremony of the CPA seminar for members of the 12th Parliament of Guyana. I invite everyone to stand as Ms. Armina Gilgers, Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly of Guyana, leads us in prayer.
Almighty God, we who here are gathered together, do most humbly beseech Thee to guide us in all our activities as we participate in this seminar for members of Parliament. We thank You for giving us the opportunity to live and work together, to build a land where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, and where words come from the depth of truth. Grant us, O God, Thine aid and guidance, so that the success of this event may be to the glory of Thy blessed name and to the benefit of this dear land. O God, we ask for the maintenance of true religion, the preservation of justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the President, and the peace and prosperity of Guyana. Grant the leaders of our country the vision so to lead that all people of this fair land may enter into the state of brotherhood and unity, where the mind is led forward by Thee into ever-widening thought and action.
Thank you, Ms. Gilgers. You may be seated. I recognize also Honorable Lennox Schumann, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of the Parliament of Guyana, and welcome him to the podium to deliver welcome remarks.
Honorable Prime Minister of Guyana, Brigadier General Retired Mark Phillips, Honorable Manzoor Nadir, Speaker of the National Assembly of Guyana, Honorable Bridget Anastay George, Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Honorable Dr. Sharam, Deputy Speaker of the Republic of Suriname, honorable colleagues of the 12th Parliament of Guyana, honorable members of the various parliamentary delegations present, and those of you virtual, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Parliamentary Correction, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, present and virtual. It is my honor to welcome you to this session of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association's seminar for parliamentarians of the 12th Parliament of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. The institution of democracy was birthed out of a need to include the voices of the commoners, or the common people in decision-making, and usher in tides of change, basically an evolution in governance. Of course, the process was not easy, and some countries still struggle with that today, some fairly painful experiences. But it is critical that we learn from those experiences. The formal origins of democracy can be traced back to, I'd say, around 5th century BC to Athenian politics. However, despite that early start, it took millennia and then some for us to evolve to where we are today. And it is still a continuous evolutionary process. The democratization of states within what was once the British Empire further evolved to include the voices of those very instruments of change, the commoners, to govern through their elected officials. Established in 1911, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association was meant to ensure that governments in then present and soon to be post-colonial states benefited from shared experiences and knowledge to better govern their eventual republics. And it is not confined only to what I'd say post-colonial states. It has transformed to a voluntary organization that share common values and objectives among many other shared goods. In Guyana, Article 9 of the Constitution is an embodiment of these very principles of placing governance of the state in the hands of the electorate by ensuring the population remains the vanguard of sovereignty, and by such virtues further fortifies the democratic principles. And Article 9 of the Constitution of Guyana states, "Sovereignty belongs to the people who exercise it through their elected representatives and democratic organs established under this Constitution." The CPA's mission is to promote knowledge of the constitutional, legislative, economic, social, and cultural aspects of parliamentary democracy, with particular reference to the countries of the Commonwealth. The CPA, known as one of the oldest institutions to safeguard, enhance, and maintain these democratic institutions and values, plays a critical role in supporting the elected officials in parliamentary democracies. Members benefit from a variety of mechanisms to help to promote good governance through training programs, courses, and seminars such as this. Their work is focused on ensuring that parliamentarians are effective in representing the issues faced by the people, and that such representations are done through informed, effective, and respectable methods. It is through mechanisms such as these that we as parliamentarians and policymakers benefit to provide more effective representation to the people. The program for a nation, I'm sure all of us have it, highlights the desired impact, outcomes, and outputs, which of course I will not read. I think all of us have a copy. However, I will highlight that your participation is most important, welcomed, greatly appreciated, and I look forward to your interactions and exchanges. For members of the various visiting delegations, welcome to Guyana. And to those joining us virtually, I hope to see you in Guyana soon. I look forward to some very riveting and exciting discussions on how we could better govern our respective constituents or countries, and welcome to the CPA's seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I now invite Mr. Sherlock Isaacs, Clerk of the National Assembly of the Parliament of Guyana, to deliver his remarks. Mr. Isaacs.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, Prime Minister of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Guyana, Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, special person, of course, Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Guyana, Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Suriname, Honorable Ministers of the Government, Leader of the Opposition, I think I see him around, Members of Parliament, Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Secretaries General of the Parliament of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Director General of Parliamericas, resource persons of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, staff of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, staff of the Parliament of Guyana, media, all, good morning. Today I would like to brief you on the development of the Parliament of Guyana through its involvement in international parliamentary organizations such as the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, that is the CPA, the Interparliamentary Union, the IPU, and Parliamericas. These international organizations share a common goal, and that is to enhance the work of parliaments to the benefit of the global population. Madam Chairperson, allow me to speak to the CPA. The Parliament Office, which is the Secretariat of the Parliament of Guyana, has benefited from the CPA through the CPA's staff development workshops and seminars on administration, committee services, library services, and legislation, to name a few. When staff attend workshops and seminars organized by the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, they are required to prepare reports on what they've learned. The reports will also contain recommendations to enhance the performance of the Parliament Office. The reports are submitted to me, and together with a team of senior officers, we would from time to time examine these reports and implement the recommendations that are feasible. The staff are also exposed to parliamentary procedure and practice training in other jurisdictions, enabling them to function more effectively upon their return. The workshops and seminars are not limited to our staff gaining knowledge, but also to allow them to share their experiences and our best practices. I've seen the enhancement in the work of my staff as a result of their attendance at workshops and seminars. The Westminster Seminar by the CPA UK is one such noteworthy program. Also, the attachment of a team of my staff to the Parliament of British Columbia. Outside of staff development, the CPA offers development programs for members of Parliament, and the Parliament of Guyana usually capitalizes on these programs by sending delegations to participate. I share the view that no man is an island. In this vein, the sharing of knowledge and experiences by members and parliamentary staff through these programs is critical to the progressive execution of their duties. Some of the best practices shared are applicable to issues which obtain in many jurisdictions and can assist in the resolution of same, whether procedurally or administratively. Guyana sits on the Executive Committee of the Caribbean, Americas, and Atlantic region of the CPA and is looking forward to its stint on the Executive Committee of the CPA. Outside of the CPA, the Parliament of Guyana holds Board of Directors membership on Parliamericas and a number of positions on the statutory bodies of the IPU. We at the Parliament Office continue to avail ourselves of forward interactions to aid in the development of our members and staff. I now take this opportunity to join the Honorable Deputy Speaker in welcoming you to this seminar. I'd also take this opportunity to wish our visiting delegations a pleasant stay with us. It is also my wish that our deliberations will be most fruitful. Please accept my best wishes for a successful seminar. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Isaacs. A number of speakers will be joining us virtually throughout the duration of the seminar. The first virtual speaker who is next to deliver remarks in this opening ceremony is Mr. Martin Chongong, Secretary General of the Interparliamentary Union. Mr. Chongong. Mr. Chongong, I'm sorry, you're muted. Could you unmute and restart?
Yes, thank you. I'm so sorry about that. I was saying that I really value the invitation that was extended to me to be part of this deliberations at the webinar. I would have loved to be in Guyana myself, not having been there ever, but well, thanks to technology, I'm able to bring greetings from the Interparliamentary Union from its headquarters here in Geneva. I welcome all participants, including the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Speaker of the Parliament of Guyana, my very good friend Manzu Nadir. Great that we can connect during this very important session of the Parliament and the meeting of the CPA. I welcome this opportunity to indicate how highly we hold our relationship with Guyana. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to recognize here the important contribution that you bring to our work in the context of the Parliamentary Conference on the WTO as the co-chair of a steering committee. We look forward to working with you more robustly in this regard. I know that one of my senior colleagues will be participating in discussions during this important seminar. And I would just like to make a couple of observations here. And this is to say that we do underscore the commitment of our organization to strong democratic parliaments. And one of the hallmarks of a democratic parliament is an inclusive parliament, a representative one. And today, I would like to point to the importance that we give to political participation of men and women together in the institutions of governance, including parliaments. This is one of the major goals of the IPU, to achieve the full and effective participation of women in politics. And we do know that gender parity in parliament is possible where there is a political will. And so one of the asks that I will be making today during this meeting is to ensure that increasingly women are represented in the parliamentary structures and processes in not only in Guyana, but also other countries in the region. And promoting women's political participation also presupposes that we are in a position to address some of those barriers and impediments to political participation, such as gender-based violence, sexism, harassment, and violence as a whole. I think that it is important for us to work towards curbing such incidences as much as possible. Another point that I would like to bring to your attention is the need for public engagement in the work of Parliament. Parliaments can no longer afford to function as ivory towers in isolation, but need to work together with the public. And this is what we have been advocating in the context of the recently published Global Parliamentary Report, where we actually call on parliaments to engage more with the people they represent, encouraging them to become more active participants in shaping their futures. And we think that this call is very relevant given the current context of political polarization, a move away from traditional political parties, and high rates of abstention in some parliamentary elections. So we think that in these times of uncertainty and anxiety, people are looking to their representatives in parliament to respond with actions that will lead to a better future. And engaging them in this discussion is very important and critical to effective decision-making and outcomes in parliaments. So I would now like, before I conclude, to project into the future. And I want to refer to the experience that we have just lived with the COVID pandemic. This COVID pandemic has been a crisis for all of us. It has been an emergency, but it's also an opportunity. It has been an opportunity. It has unveiled the potential that digital technologies have for improving on the way we do business. During the pandemic, we saw how parliaments were innovating, transforming their working methods in order to stay relevant, in order to stay alive and contribute to the efforts that were intended to stem the pandemic. So I thought I should raise this matter that we ignore digital technologies at our own risk and peril. We need to accelerate this digital transformation that will allow us, among other things, to reach out to communities, to canvass their views more than ever before. I think that we can count our blessings given the fact that sometimes traveling physically to your constituencies is very onerous, time-consuming, and otherwise. With the new technologies, it is possible for you to reach out to your constituencies in a very seamless fashion. When we also talk of inclusion, I would not like to omit the importance of youth participation. We need more and more young people in parliament if we want to rejuvenate the processes of democracy, if we want to make sure that parliament stay relevant and tuned to the interests of the younger generations. And as I say this, I am disheartened by the fact that 60% of the world's population is made up of people under the age of 30. But when we look at the parliamentary landscape, only 2.6% of parliamentary membership globally come from this, I would say, category in society. And this shows that there is a gross misrepresentation or underrepresentation of young people in institutions of governance. So I would like to make a case for increased participation of young people in Parliament. So with those words, I would just like to say that the seminar that we are having today holds the potential for developing capacity for parliaments to come together. And I saw that there are presentations going to be made by your colleagues from other countries in the region and from the CPA. And we do think that the future lies in partnerships at the heart of parliaments and parliamentarians, partnerships that were the foundational, I think, leitmotif for the IPU, bringing parliaments together to share good practices and work together for building dialogue and, I would say, building bridges. So thank you very much for this opportunity to address this very auspicious occasion, and we look forward to ongoing discussions. I wish you success in the deliberations of the seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary General Chong. It's an honor to have you, even if virtually. I now invite Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Vincent Henry. He's from the Parliament of Guyana to deliver remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Honorable Mark Phillips, Prime Minister of Guyana, Honorable Mansour Nadir, Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Speaker of Trinidad and Tobago, Deputy Speakers of Guyana and Suriname, Leader of the Opposition, Members of Parliament, Members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished facilitators and guests, friends all. On behalf of the Parliamentary Opposition of Guyana, I hereby extend a sincere welcome to you. The program that we are about to begin is extremely important and appropriate for our Parliament and by extension, Guyana as a whole. Madam Chair, Parliament is a microcosm of the status quo of the political and social situation in a country. Hence, one can ask whether democracy is alive and well in the 12th Parliament of Guyana. Is consensus being practiced in our Parliament? To my mind, the answer is a resounding no. Therefore, democracy is in hospital and needs the best doctors available. It is my hope that the CPA will do some sort of magic and administer consensus-promoting medications, especially to the current government of Guyana. Madam Chair, one hallmark of democracy is inclusivity. This government lustily sings a call for a one Guyana, but practices the opposite. Just imagine that the opposition parliamentarians who represent at least one half of the people of Guyana are treated as pariahs by the government of Guyana. Mr. Speaker, one of the many examples is that at the recent 52nd Republic Anniversary National Flag Raising Ceremony, we, the opposition MPs, were not even granted the common courtesy of an invitation to attend. Madam Chair, parliamentary sittings are seen to be treated more as impediments than being necessary. However, when there is a need to dip into the consolidated fund, one may rest assured that Parliament will be held. Mr. Chair, recently we saw the current government using its majority to change the quorum of the Public Accounts Committee so that they can stymie its work by their non-attendance whenever issues to be dealt with are too hot for their comfort. Mr. Chair, if you ask Guyanese to honestly say whether Parliament exudes fairness, they will answer in the negative. Opposition's motions do not normally get the nod in Parliament. A motion by the opposition to debate the most urgent phenomenon of a countrywide flooding and to allow all Guyanese to work together to alleviate the effects was deemed to be not urgent and important enough. Sadly, to date, many Guyanese who suffered have been bypassed, while many who did not suffer have reaped untold benefits. A motion by the opposition to find ways to cushion the negative effects of the rapid increase in the high cost of living in Guyana was thrown out the window. Madam Chair, I have noticed that when a government MP commits an infraction, it is ignored or the person is given a friendly tap on the shoulder, while opposition members are sanctioned. Also, the opposition women of Parliament have suffered verbal, emotional, and physical abuse by some members of the government's MPs. One remembers a dildo insult by a government MP standing on his feet, ignored by the Speaker, and who only issued a half-baked apology when an opposition MP objected. Unfairly, the opposition MP was suspended and the government's MP got off scot-free. Madam Chair, as an Indigenous representative, please allow me to alert this House and the world at large that the existential rights of the Indigenous people of Guyana are under serious threat by the current government of Guyana. Madam Chair, the Inter-American Commission on the Human Rights on being petitioned by the indigenous village of Isenero requested that the government of Guyana conduct reparations. Mr. Chairman, this is a hallmark ruling on behalf of all the indigenous peoples, but this government, in an attempt to nullify the petition, used the argument that the Isenero community members have lost their traditional culture in aspects such as their building materials, their architecture, their farming systems. The state particularly emphasized that most of the members of the community have converted to Christianity and therefore do not preserve an ancestral spiritual connection to their territory. Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker, Madam Chair, most indigenous peoples of Guyana are Christians and are participating in the cash economy, and we do not wear laps in Parliament. According to the PPP, we are all disqualified from being able to exist as indigenous people. Madam Chair, in closing, our parliamentary staff and support teams are professionals. They are guided by a qualified and experienced clerk of the National Assembly, and they must be saluted for their professionalism. I'm not saying it because he's right there to me. This is a fact. Also, it is my hope that this seminar will not be a one-off affair. I hope there will be a checklist developed and we can all examine periodically to see if improvements are being made in a time-bound manner. Madam Chair, on behalf of the parliamentary opposition and the people of Guyana, I sincerely hope that when our history is being written, it will state that this seminar started a journey in Guyana that allowed us to return to the path of achieving our motto, one people, one nation, one destiny. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I now invite Honorable Dr. Dewan Chandrabose Sharman, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Suriname, to make his remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of Guyana, Mr. Nadir Mansour, the Deputy Speaker, Excellency Prime Minister, the representative of IPU, all other Excellencies and Honorables, good morning. Let me just say that Suriname has a long parliamentary tradition, and we recently celebrated our 156th anniversary. But although this long history people changes, time changes, circumstances changes, but the values not. And it is always a challenge of every new established National Assembly to keep up this value. And I have to acknowledge that even we in Suriname have identified that investment in your parliamentarians is very important. As you don't know, especially the younger ones, the newly chosen members, and sometimes they are not fully prepared to do the job. You know, these young people usually think they are able to do everything, but when they are facing the real job, then you see the real shortcomings. And we have to admit that by these kinds of exchange, we definitely will take home some messages and see how we can implement and emphasize way in our system, because we could have our differences as parliament in Guyana or in Suriname or elsewhere, but one thing we have in common: we have to labor continuously for the people who has elected us. And I think in this regard, there are definitely some challenges. At least we have identified that in Suriname, that these are challenges for us. And one of them is your media approach, your public approach. As you know, if you are elected, then the media can make you or break you down. What today is a headline can tomorrow be a deadline. And your good work and your investment and all your efforts can be done for nothing. So we have to invest in our young parliamentarian, especially for a balanced media approach, to choose the right words for the right issues, as they have to grow in the work. They are a part of the parliament, and finally, the effort, the result of a parliament is the collective efforts of all members together. The second thing, what we have noticed and identified is the rise of digitalization in the world, bringing us closer together, but it has challenges. Take into account things like fake news, fake information, cybercrime. So the issue of cybersecurity and safety is very important. Besides from working with a digital system, we in Suriname are used to do everything digitally. We do not share things on paper anymore. Everything is done digitally. Your invitation, the documents, everything is digitally. And sometimes young people do not know to handle that properly. So besides from that, and I think it is primarily a personal responsibility to invest in them. But of course, the institute itself has to do the investment too. So, but as we face now, lots of fake news and fake information and so on circulating in the society, and that is a challenge. But I really think, Mr. Speaker, that we can have our traditions and our distinctive things, characters and so on, but possible solution we can learn from and we can adapt to our system, and that can be very helpful. And I think when it comes as a new parliamentarian, a new member of parliament, the system has to mold you somehow to make you a better product. And investment, as this seminar is meant for, capacity building, is, I think, a very good thing. Mr. Speaker, in the concept of the Trans Politica, as we know that concept of a parliamentary body, executive body of the government and the judiciary, I think the parliament is the face of democracy. So a good institute itself can be presented to the world if your members are fully skilled and can make use of the talents they have within them. And of course, each member, each political party, and each National Assembly have to do this investment. I think, in closing, Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker, thank you for this invitation. And I would also like to extend my gratitude to the Parliament of Guyana for hosting this CPA seminar. And I would like to reveal that we, in the coming months, we do have some auspicious moments in Suriname. I will definitely send you guys an invitation for that moment. For this moment, I would like to wish you all a very fruitful and a successful seminar too. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker Sharman. Our next guest to address the seminar on behalf of Parliamericas is Honorable Bridget Anisette George, Vice President of Parliamericas and Speaker of the House of Representatives of Trinidad and Tobago. Honorable Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for your words of introductions. And I take refuge in saying all protocols observed. Greetings and good day to all. I wish particularly to recognize the Honorable Mansour Nadir, Speaker of the National Assembly of Guyana, and fellow member of the Board of Directors of Parliamericas. Mr. Speaker and I have interacted over the past 2 years remotely. My first opportunity to have met him in person was yesterday. And I must say that the technology has worked in that in receiving me, I felt as if we were long lost friends. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is a pleasure to be with you in person in your beautiful country and to share the room with colleagues who are likewise motivated by this opportunity to dialogue and exchange on strengthening our parliamentary work in order to better serve the people of the country of Guyana and by extension the region. I am participating in this seminar as a proud member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and I take this opportunity to sincerely thank CPA headquarters and CPA Guyana branch for organizing this seminar and for their kind invitation to participate. As said by Madam Chair, I also wear the hat of the Vice President of Parliamericas, which organization is partnership in this effort and whom I represent at this podium. And in this capacity too, I am delighted to participate in these sessions. This seminar sets out an ambitious agenda of immensely relevant and complex topics and questions which are essential to effective parliamentary functioning. I am looking forward to learning alongside you and to share the experiences of the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago as we reflect on common objectives as legislators. From the perspective of Parliamericas too, the outcomes of these dialogues will be well observed in order to continuously respond to the most current priorities and needs of lawmakers in our hemisphere. If I may, I am particularly keen for our session on inclusion and participation. Parliamericas and CPA alike emphasize this fundamental approach to all legislative matters and undertakings. After all, social equality, including women's and minority rights, must not be isolated from decision-making on national development, from our resilience building in times of crises, or from our economic recovery efforts. Through meaningful inclusion and participation mechanisms, we are bolstering our institutions for more effective lawmaking, executive oversight, budgetary review, and citizen participation. Let us be unapologetic in these efforts to open the doors of our parliaments and ensure that public participation and inclusion are integral to our legislative decision-making. The crises we have experienced over the last few years are unprecedented, and reckoning with the challenges of our times will be an ongoing process. Despite the many difficulties and uncertainties, we must be attentive to the formidable opportunities to innovate and address the cracks in our systems. Let us do so with renewed energy and determination. I firmly believe that through seminars like this, we are committing ourselves to continually nourishing and growing our knowledge base and toolboxes to construct greater opportunities for the prosperity of our women, our men, our girls, and our boys in our respective countries. As an active participant of both the CPA and Parliamericas, I humbly applaud our collaborative spirit, which allows us to maximize the synergies of our work to better serve our beloved Caribbean. I am confident that the outcomes of our deliberations and learnings over the next 2 days will multiply in their impacts. I thank you once again for the invitation, and to all who made this important seminar the success that it is destined to be, I say congratulations. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is now an honor for me to invite Honorable Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, Prime Minister of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, to deliver his remarks virtually.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Guyana, Speaker of the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly of Suriname, Clerk of the National Assembly, Leader of the Opposition, staff of the National Assembly, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the media, members of the 12th Parliament of Guyana, members of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, special invitees, all protocols observed. I greet you this morning, pleased to offer brief remarks at this CPA seminar as we gather in earnest, ready to improve our knowledge and skills that will contribute to the efficient undertaking of our duties as parliamentarians of Guyana's National Assembly. This occasion re-emphasizes the importance of the role we play as parliamentarians in Guyana's National Assembly. Parliamentary procedure is a foundation for upholding the rules of a country's democracy. As elected members, we hold the crucial responsibility of representing the interests of our people as we stand in their place to interpret and apply the rules of order for our country. We are elected to represent the people of Guyana and to ensure good governance under its constitution.
In Guyana, we have seen the detrimental effects and disadvantages that a threat to our democracy can cause. So not only is this seminar valuable to us in our roles as ambassadors for our people, but it is a timely refresher of the need to continually uphold our positions with honor and integrity as we serve our people and our country, who depend on our wisdom and judgment in influencing national decisions. The agenda for today and tomorrow will provide critical capacity building in our roles as legislators, scrutinizers, overseers, and representatives of all matters of Guyana's democracy, and promote good practice that, by parliamentary obligation, we are required to adopt if we are to carry out our duties at the highest standard. Because of the responsibility we hold, guidance is important. So the existence of institutions like the CPA and its roles for providing worthwhile support to parliamentarians in identifying benchmarks for good values is welcome. Moreover, as a proud member of the Commonwealth, Guyana is committed to ensuring that we continue to practice the enduring values of the Commonwealth. Indeed, our pride as a member of the Commonwealth cannot be understated, as Guyana has received immense support and guidance from the Commonwealth throughout our 56-year affiliation. Within the Commonwealth itself, Guyana has actively participated in the association's activities through regional and international conferences over the years. As the country with the largest Commonwealth chamber in the Caribbean, we are ever pressed to ensure that our country is able to work with fellow Caribbean parliamentarians on matters of regional interest related to our development. We must also ensure that our parliamentarians and clerks operate with distinction as we conduct the Assembly's business administratively, financially, and procedurally. Our access to the partner networks that the CPA offers for women parliamentarians and parliamentarians with disabilities do not go unnoticed. As we are aware, inclusion and equality are important tenets to which our government is fully committed. As such, these interests must be upheld at the topmost levels, thereby ensuring that they are adequately represented and are equipped with the capacity to provide meaningful contributions in legislation and good political practice in a manner that will offer a greater perspective in the interests of their particular groupings. I wish to assure the CPA that the parliamentarians that form the government of Guyana are committed to the respect for the rule of law, both domestically and internationally. And as you would have heard from a previous member of parliament speaking today, I wish to assure you that with regards to the Isenaru issue, we, unlike what was represented, have until June the 20th to respond to the recommendations of the Inter-American Commission for Human Rights. a response that we have committed to ensure being handed in before the deadline of June the 20th. So I take this opportunity to assure all present, in person and virtually, that the government of Guyana, the parliamentarians that represent the government of Guyana, is committed to upholding the rule of law in Guyana and upholding international law. So, as I go back to the issue of this CPA seminar, we look forward to a fruitful session and thank the CPA for its continued interest in furthering good governance among Commonwealth member states. We are grateful for your dedication and your partnership, but we are most grateful for your guidance in upholding the highest paradigms in the efficient use of governance in upholding democracy in Guyana. I look forward to a fruitful conference, and I thank you all for being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. We appreciate you and other speakers in our opening ceremony making the time to share with us. To conclude the opening, I now invite Honorable Mansour Nadir, Speaker of the National Assembly of the Parliament of Guyana. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Deputy Speaker of the Assembly in Suriname, Deputy Speaker of our own Parliament, Honorable Member Mr. Vincent Henry, Clerk of our National Assembly, Honorable Ministers, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Honorable Members of Parliament, and I want you all to give a very special round of applause for someone who hasn't yet been acknowledged, the Honorable Member from the Legislative Assembly of the British Columbia Parliament, the Honorable Member Ms. Janet Rutledge. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our staff, good morning to everyone. Today, the 12th Parliament of Guyana is honored to partner with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and our other international friends in organizing this training seminar for members of our 12th Parliament. An impressive array of presenters and resource persons spanning 5 continents have been assembled for this training seminar for members of our 12th Parliament. You heard from Mr. Martin Chongong, the Secretary General of the Interparliamentary Union, a union of assemblies that was established since the 19th century. And I wish to assure Martin that the National Assembly of Guyana has the majority of its members as persons younger than 45 years of age. And if we include the Parliament, which is the Assembly plus His Excellency the President, who is just last month celebrated, I think, its 42nd anniversary, that percentage would even be higher. We also, in Guyana, did pass legislation to ensure that 1/3 of the list from parties that contest the elections are female. And so Guyana has gone quite a distance in terms of ensuring representation from women and youth. Today, we're also enjoying the presence of Parliamericas. That's the Parliament of Latin America. And thanks to Mark and the Canadians have supported this organization tremendously over the many years. So Guyana is a part of that, and we are pleased to have Parliamerica present with us, and of course, our friends James, Clive, and Avni representing the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. I am very honored to be part of organizing this activity. Yes, it's coming almost 2 years late. In spite of COVID, the restrictions and the virtual meetings, this today is a breaking opportunity for us to have an in-person seminar and representing so many different continents. Guyana's National Assembly, our parliament, has been very involved in the last 12 months and a bit longer in the International Assemblies of Parliaments. I, having served as an elected member in the National Assembly for decades, was not aware of how many organizations we were part of as a parliament until I became a member of the Parliamentary Management Committee. And that is one of the other reasons why today we thought that it would be good to have at least opening remarks from all the other assemblies, the fora which we are affiliated to. So thank you, IPU, thank you, Parliamericas, thank you, CPA, and we're also a member of Parlamaz, which is the Parliament of the Amazonian countries, Guyana being one of the 9 countries that share the Amazon, the lungs of the earth. Yes, there are going to be contentious issues, and that is why we are here, to draw on the experiences from all over the world. And while I've never seen a definition of democracy as meaning consensus, I've seen a definition of democracy meaning I will protect your right to speak, even if I don't agree with your views. And that is what I, as Speaker of this 12th Parliament, has been guided by. We're going to learn a lot today. And in spite of the fact that I've been around, like the Honorable Minister of Governance, for over almost 3 decades, we still have a lot to learn. Every day it's a new challenge, it's a new experience, and requires new solutions and considerations. So I join with you in welcoming everyone, those who are visiting Guyana for the first time, those who are here today, and to wish that we all share our views, as the Prime Minister said, with the rules of order, so that in the end, we all know dialogue with words is better than violent physical confrontation. There are no winners in wars, I say, so let us continue to dialogue and find a way forward to improve the lives that we represent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. That concludes our opening session, and I will give you right over to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. James?
Many thanks, Ms. Charles. Yeah, we'll start with the first session already. There's going to be some logistics here in terms of emptying the dais to allow the other speakers to come up. I believe it's the Honourable Devin Sears, if you could come up, and the Honourable Savitri Parag to also come up to the dais. So we may need to vacate some seats and swap over some name placeholders. So we could just do that, please. Madam Speaker, you can stay sat. Thank you.
This land is all I know. We're gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we.